In 1912, a teenage Indiana Jones discovers a group of robbers finding an old crucifix while exploring caves with his Boy Scout troop in Utah, believing it belongs in a museum. Indiana takes the crucifix and evades the robbers to return home. However, the town sheriff arrives and forces Indiana to hand it over to the robbers' employer years later. In 1938, Indiana again confronts the employer off the Portuguese coast, recovering the crucifix and escaping. After returning to the United States, Indiana learns that his father Henry has disappeared while searching for the Holy Grail. Walter Donovan, his father's financial backer, tasks Indiana with finding both Henry and the Grail. Indiana receives a package containing Henry's diary, which includes his research on the Grail, and travels to Venice alongside Marcus Brody to meet Henry's associate Elsa Schneider beneath the library where Henry was last seen. Indiana and Elsa discover a catacomb containing an inscribed shield which reveals that the path to the Grail begins in Turkey. The two are subsequently attacked by a mysterious group who reveal themselves to be the Secret Order of the Cruciform Sword, dedicated to protecting the Grail. After saving the group's leader, he informs Indiana that Henry is being held at a castle in Austria. Indiana entrusts Marcus with a map from the diary detailing a route to the Grail and sends him to Turkey to rendezvous with their old friend Sulla. Discovering their rooms have been ransacked, Indiana reveals the diary's existence to Elsa before they sleep together in Austria. Indiana and Elsa infiltrate the castle, discovering it to be under Nazi control. Indiana finds Henry and tries to escape, but surrenders after Elsa is held captive by the Nazis. She reveals herself to be a Nazi collaborator, and Indiana and Henry are tied up, and to learn that Donovan is also working with the Nazis. After arriving in Turkey, Marcus is captured by the Nazis as well. Elsa returns to Germany while Indiana and Henry escape the castle before traveling to Berlin to retrieve the diary. After recovering it from Elsa, Indiana and Henry flee on a Zeppelin before evading two Nazi planes pursuing them. Arriving in Hatay, Turkey, Sulla reveals to Indiana and Henry that the Nazis have also traveled there using the map. While they are following the trail, the Nazis are attacked by the Order but defeat them. Henry takes advantage of the distraction to try and rescue Marcus, but is captured. Indiana attacks the Nazi convoy in response and is eventually able to destroy it with help from Henry and Marcus. Indiana, Henry, Marcus and Sulla proceed to a temple containing the Grail, where they observe the Nazis attempting to overcome the temple's traps before being captured. Donovan forces Indiana to find a way for them by mortally wounding Henry with the help of the diary. Indiana overcomes the traps and finds a room with many cups and an ancient knight who explains that only one cup is the. Indiana attacks the Nazi convoy in response and is eventually able to destroy it with help from Henry and Marcus. Indiana, Henry, Marcus and Sulla proceed to a temple containing the Grail, where they observe the Nazis attempting to overcome the temple's traps before being captured. Donovan forces Indiana to find a way for them by mortally wounding Henry with the help of the diary. Indiana overcomes the traps and finds a room with many cups and an ancient knight who explains that only one cup is the true Holy Grail. Donovan enters the room, dying by rapid aging after drinking from the wrong cup before Indiana identifies the true Holy Grail and saves Henry. Elsa falls to her death when she attempts to leave with the Grail, causing the temple to collapse. Indiana and his companions manage to escape, riding off into the sunset.